Welcome to FM On Demand. I'm your host, Becky Schilling, and I am here today with Steve Mangan from the University of Michigan. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, Becky. Glad to be here with you. Tell a little bit of our story, what's going on in Ann Arbor.
I mean, that's a perfect segue right into the first question. How are you guys? What's going on campus?
Well, it's an interesting semester. So we've opened up with about 1,200 students living on campus with us. So we're really running at about a 10-12% volume than normal. We've got 3 of our 9 dining halls are closed. Most of our retail operations are closed. Catering is essentially at 0. We've got required testing for all students on campus to enter into one of our dining halls and any building for that matter. So the rules are tight, and the presence on campus from students, faculty, staff is minimal. Still a lot of people are working remotely. So we're running a quarantine and isolation process as well that we have on the side, where actually today we've got probably about 90 students in there. And so it's a very different environment from what we normally experience, where we're pushing out maybe 2,600 meals a day in our residential program versus 26,000. So interestingly, our leadership has been generous in keeping all of our full-time staff employed. We've redeployed our catering staff, retail staff over in a residential, and we've had a hiring freeze on since March. So we've got lots of open positions if we anticipate ramping up again in the fall, but we've been able to utilize everybody at the expense of we only have a handful of students working for us this semester. So that's kind of a Michigan dining in a nutshell today.
Yeah, no, one of the things you mentioned in there was quarantine dining, and that's it's been a challenge for a lot of places, and it's kind of really near to my heart right now. I'm on the last day of a quarantine for myself after returning to New York State. So how's your quarantine meal service going?
Well, after a bit of a rocky start last summer when we started this, there was hardly anybody there because everybody vacated. When we got up into the fall, we actually started seeing some significant utilization of those spaces. We started out with a third party that delivered our meals up to us, up to the rooms and the isolation areas. So our dining staff didn't have to do that. We had a special menu for them, and quite a bit of dissatisfaction with it initially. And once we learned how to do this, it took us a few weeks, but we really have kind of expanded this where it's really kind of quiet. We have a full-time concierge available for the students to talk to. We've got snack bags in the room when they arrive. We have pots and pans available for them in these apartments if they want to cook their own food. We have an awesome food program that we deliver at no charge to any of our residential students. And we also have, anybody can access that for a very fair price for 3 meals a day. And we load it up with all kinds of snacks. And they can call us, ask for special, and anything they need. And one example, last week we had one of the students had a birthday, so they ended up with a birthday cake and cards and messages on the bags, and made it memorable rather than quite so painful as it might be. But we've also had to expand all the services in the housing side of this as well. So, you know, it's been a journey. What we thought was good enough wasn't good enough. So we expanded a lot of the outreach, communication services and so on that now we call QI housing is pretty well done at the moment, and very, very few complaints. They get a ride to the room, they get a ride back when they're out. I mean, it's a pretty sweet deal right now.
Nice.
If you got to be locked down, right? Another interesting twist that we had a parents group. As you can imagine, when we were getting this started, a lot of noise on social media, so parents get involved, and there's a parents group in Ann Arbor who is very organized on Facebook, and they took it upon themselves to send more stuff. So if you need some slippers, you can get them. So lots of special treatment for our Michigan students.
Well, and it's an interesting point that you bring up because so much about the dining services on a college campus is building a community and interacting, and that's been so difficult to do during COVID. And I thought the birthday celebration that you mentioned was a great thing. Any other little ways that you guys are trying to connect so with your customers?
Well, we have a pretty good program with special needs around food sensitivities and allergens. So right now, our menu evolved from last semester, where it was sort of a fixed menu, you can pick what you wanted, where now we have sort of a room service menu. And because we're so slow, we can handle some of these special touches. So I got to look at the menu a couple weeks ago when we started the semester. There's like 20 choices on this thing at each meal for lunch and dinner. So they can order right off this menu, and our team is producing pretty much what they want. It's all microwavable, and hot food can be microwaved, cold food is great, and we've got a pretty good list of snacks and beverages and whatnot. And we're not worrying about making money on this thing. We just want to have them have as good an experience when you're locked down as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I'm going to ask you the $1 million question, because you're University of Michigan, you're a smart guy. When things move back to normal, when when vaccines and things start going back, with college dining services, do you think that we go back to what we were pre-COVID, or do you think some of the things that you've implemented during COVID stick around?
I think we're going to be very different. I think one piece, we've let the horse out of the stable with takeout. We've had an all-you-care-to-eat program for quite some time, and have been careful to limit, taking food outside. We're not trying to be a grocery store, and certainly don't want to feed the fraternities on one person's dining plan here. But we're going to be looking at some sort of modification with takeout. One other big change that's I think is going to be interesting for us is our retail environment on a large campus. In my opinion, we may have been overbuilt as it was before COVID, with faculty and staff working remotely, the number of students moving around. I think some of that remote work will be here to stay, if not a lot of it. I don't think we're going to be able to keep our retail portfolio as robust as it's been. So I think we'll see some changes there. I think we're going to see some technology changes. We have our first 24/7 unmanned store opening up, actually this week. So we're going to be trying to have more of these using the tech to have self-service operations that are open all night for people. So there's more to come. I don't know exactly what it'll all be. I don't think we're going to see a lot of self-service salad bars and ice cream machines and all those things that make a mess all the time and cross-contaminate. I think we're going to see a much higher awareness on our customers, the students, on hygiene and food safety and cleanliness, and this whole idea of transmitting disease amongst each other. I hope we do anyway. I think masks are here to stay. I haven't had my normal winter cold yet, so I'm attributing that to taking good care of my own PPE. I think we've shown that the strict use of PPE avoids and prevents spreading the virus. We have not had any outbreaks in our dining team. We've had individuals come down positive by probably not paying attention when they're outside of the workplace. We've had a very small number of our folks get dragged along to quarantine with them with considered a close contact, but that's people not paying attention, and we get caught once in a while. But I think the workplace can be fairly safe. I don't think the barriers or the plexiglass is coming down soon. I think people are going to want to have this heightened awareness of hygiene. We haven't had any flu outbreaks. So there's some benefits out here that will be, I hope, sticking with us, even though it's sometimes a pain in the neck to have all these extra precautions. But I think it may be something that will be welcomed by everybody. We're going to have staffing challenges. I think the whole hospitality business is going to be impacted on this in some way. I think people are bailing out, many of them, of the business, just because it's been so hard in the restaurant and other corporate world and so on. Can we attract those people to campus dining or not? I don't know. So we've seen a migration of student workers moving away from food service. I've been at Michigan for 7 years now. So when I started out with us, we had maybe 1,500 students working on our team. Last year, boy, we were pulling teeth to get 500 or 600.
Wow.
So we're looking at, I think we're gonna have to look at different labor models. How do we train people? How do we recruit? How do we onboard people? How do we create opportunities for staff that maybe haven't been there before to develop careers and really figure out that the non-commercial segment's a great place to work with some kind of stability. Gosh, capital projects are going to be locked down for a while. I think if we get a chance to build a new dining hall somewhere in the future, we'll build it very differently. I think we'll have more of a takeout component, maybe drive-throughs for food, using some technology in very different ways. Maybe the footprint of the actual dining hall will be smaller. So I think, but right now I think the projects are going to be put on hold for a few years as most campuses and regroup financially. Catering is different. I mean, our catering is basically zero. I mean, we're get an order for some box lunches. It's well, we're busy today. We got 100 box lunches to put out. So catering's going to be very different as well. Is it going to be virtual? Are we going to be delivering lunches off to the individual people in this meeting to their homes? It'll be pretty interesting to see how catering evolves. In Michigan, we're subject to a lot of regulations from the state. The gatherings are very restricted here in Michigan compared to some other states. When is that going to relax? We have no idea. So, and frankly, I'm not all that optimistic that COVID's going to go away by fall. I think we're going to be still suffering through some of these restrictions in the fall. And the last piece that we've got, certainly on a Michigan campus, is student activism. What's that going to look like? So we're engaged in a lot of sustainability work around carbon. Plant Forward, we just got partnered with a faculty over in our sustainability school and have a large grant that was just approved to study how we might change preferences for better for you foods, if you will, depending on how you define better for you. But we're going to be working around there. We've got a beverage study going on where we're reducing sugar. We've got anti-racism work going on campus. We get into the food system. There's work there for us in this activist work and procurement and looking down our supply chain. I think we got a lot to do here that's going to be very different. And I think the food on campus, the dining programs are going to have a voice in how this food chain looks in the future. I hope we do anyway.
And see,
what else? What else could there be?
You thought of everything. The one thing that you mentioned there was delivery. And you and I have spoken about this in the past. What do you think the role of delivery is in the future?
Well, the students want it. So we know that's truism. Now in Ann Arbor, I'm surrounded by hundreds of restaurants, and they're all delivering. We've got them all from A to Z, right? Zingerman's being Z. And I don't know that we can compete with that, or that we need to, frankly. And we know that using the delivery companies like Uber Eats and Grubhub, et cetera, there's a cost to that. And frankly, I'm not sure our retail operations typically do not generate with the price points we charge. We don't charge the type of prices that we can absorb the commissions and delivery fees that are associated with these things. So we're being very careful to um, not get overboard on that. We're going to be watching that. Um, and the same thing goes with ghost kitchens. You know, some schools are looking at developing these uh, kind of just uh, facades of retail brands that are going out and delivering out of their ghost kitchen or inviting restaurants in to use their facilities. I think a public environment like we are, we got to be careful of the town and gown issues and so on. But we are looking at delivery uh, with our catering operations, where we're trying to encourage our customers to have us deliver things right to their offices to make that convenient. And the delivery programs for catering are everyday catering, right? It's not the complicated full service catered events. But we're being very successful with that, with lunch products, breakfast, box lunches, and so on. So we'll continue that and hope to see that grow. But it's homegrown. It's using our own staff and our fleet of vehicles. Interestingly enough, we have a robotics department on campus, and they've got a robotic delivery vehicle developed. We're hoping to use our homegrown folks in a partnership on campus to figure this out. And it'll be a limited kind of delivery system around our North Campus. But I think that'd be a great partnership with our students and have we've got a pretty big tech school going on with this. They've just built a new building. We've actually got a cafe in that building that we just opened last week.
Oh, wow.
We fully expect to be flying deliveries up to the 4th floor with drones. We fully expect to have some of these robots that are walkable delivery systems, if you call that walking, kind of a Jetsons kind of thing that'll take some deliveries around the building. So we hope to see those things moving forward in the near future for us in the robotics building that we partner with. So there'll be more tech. It's hard to predict what's going to work. We do encourage mobile ordering and pickup at locations. So we're engaged with that. But I just don't think we can manage the delivery to 200 different buildings on campus and into the Ann Arbor community and do it well.
Well, you never know. If you have drones and robots, it just might do it for you.
Well, that's a possibility. So again, it's all a matter of what's going to happen with all these things as we figure it out.
Exactly. Well, thank you.
The door's open.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Steve. It's always a pleasure to speak to you.
Likewise. I hope you have a great day and stay safe.